Okay, everybody, let's hop into the next tutorial. So let's get some models in here. Models can be, there's a lot of 3D models that are in Wolfenstein, chairs, there's statues, there's all kinds of objects, shelving units and stuff. And to kind of make your scenes or levels more believable, of course, you're going to want some models, maybe even some for example, some trucks and all that. So let's figure out how we get that done. And the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go into the Wolfenstein folder, and we're going to locate the main folder. And before we continue, you want to make sure that you have WinRAR installed, or some sort of archiving program. 7-zip is fine. Something along those lines. Now, let me find which one it is that we need. I believe it's going to be pack 0. If you double-click pack0.pk3, it'll say, how do you want to open this program? You're going to want to choose look for another app on this PC if you don't see WinRAR or 7-zip here. You're going to look for WinRAR where it is installed on your computer, and then double click the executable. So now it has opened pack0.pk3 as a WinRAR, and I want to make sure, yes, okay. So what we're gonna do is we're going to, with our Wolfenstein main folder here, I just want you to take from pack 0, I'd like you to take level shots and put it into main, sound, let that copy over. We're going to do models. And if it says you need to replace things, go ahead and do that. And we're also going to do textures into main. Okay, I just want to double check. Sweet. Okay. Once we've done that, that should be everything. Now let's open up our map again and let's start this. So to give you an example, I just want to, I'm going to make a table myself. So I'm going to open up my textures, open up common, select calc. I'm just going to make a table over here. I'm going to bring it up from the floor. Now, I'm going to bring my player spawn next to the table, and I'm sure you could guess why, because I want to make sure that the table isn't a weird size. So now that I have the player icon next to it, that arrow, of course, is where the player can see. I think that'll probably be fine. I'll make it that size. A new thing that I'm going to show you guys is on your keyboard, you can change the grid size. You can change it with 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your keyboard. If I press 3, the grid gets smaller. If I press 2, it gets even smaller. If I press 1, it's very small. Pressing 4 is going to be the default size. Never forget that. The number 4 on your keyboard will be the default size for the grid. I'm going to hit 3 just so I can get half the size, and I'm going to then bring the table up to make it skinnier. Hit escape. I'm going to draw a leg. I'm going to make it just a 1 unit thickness. And I also didn't put it out on the edge. I brought it kind of in. It's like recessed. And I'm just going to hit spacebar, put it on the other side, I'm going to hold shift, left click the other leg. So now both legs are selected. Hit spacebar to copy both legs. And there we go. We've got 4 legs, tabletop. I'll move my player spawn out of the way. Back where he goes. Change his facing direction. Okay. Now, holding shift, click all of the table, hit T, and let's go to just the wood category. And honestly, anyone should be fine. I'm going to do the wood M13 texture. Hit escape. There we go. We have a table. I'm going to save. Now, I want to put a chair here. I can build a chair, by the way. That's totally fine. You can do that too. But I want to put in the Wolfenstein like prefab, you know, the actual model chair that I believe you can break. So to do that is pretty simple. We extracted those models for a reason. It'll be easier for us to actually use them in the editor. But right-click in the grid where you want to put something. And we're going to go to miscellaneous. So misc. Scroll down to model. Misc model. It's going to pop up this window. And this is why we extracted the files. So it's going to take you to Return to Castle Wolfenstein main and models folder. If it doesn't, you can just go into that folder yourself. Main, models, and here you're going to find literal 3D objects to put into your editor or your level. So choose map objects, and there's a lot of different categories here. Feel free to mess around and see what everything is. But we're going to go to furniture. Now, as you can see, all of the models are MD3. If you are somebody who's good at modeling or just, you know, wants to learn, you can, I believe, use Blender. And I think Blender can make MD3 files. Somebody might correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But there are plenty of people, there's still websites today of people still making maps for Quake 3 and such. And so there's also websites that you can Google to get free MD3 models that you could put into your Wolfenstein maps. So what you see here is for Wolfenstein, but you can import other models from different games. Obviously check the copyright information if there is any, or at least giving credit to the authors. But with that being said, let's find a chair. So here's some chairs. These are chat, or I'm assuming that's short for chateau. So that's going to be a chateau chair, a couch. That's something I want to show you. Let's say you select a model and it's not the model that you want. You can change it pretty easily. So as long as your model is selected, you can select it with shift and left click, hit the letter N as in Nancy, and then go over here where it says model. Make sure you highlight this and click this button right here, model. It'll bring up that window again where you can go into map objects and find what you were looking for. So let's see. There we go. I think. Once you've chosen the model that you like, let's make sure that we select the model and then hit N as in Nancy to open up the entity window. And remember to change the direction of a model. You can't use these X or the axes rotations. You have to rotate it by using these values here. So remember, it kind of goes off of this top-down grid. So if I want this chair to face the table to 70, we'll make it face the table. Now, of course, you can see here, there's also other options. You can make a model bigger. So by doing model scale, it's a scale multiplier, I can then use the key value of model scale, all one word, hit tab, and its default is 1, right? So if I hit enter here, now it's still 1, and it hasn't changed. But if I do 2, the chair is now twice the size. So if you wanted to change it to 1.5, or let's put it back to 1, or 0.5, it's even smaller, you get the idea. So leave it at 1, and there we go. So we've put a chair in the scene, hit escape. I don't know if that chair is going to render properly, but let's take a look. So let's compile our map, and we'll take a look. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to choose a different chair because it's showing that weird black spot on the bottom of the chair. But anyways, as you can see, the chair is here, the table's here. As you'll notice, though, you can walk through it. And I'm going to show you what we can do about that. There's 2 different things that we can do about that. All right, let's take a look at what we can do. So, let me see if I could just change this chair to something that looks a little bit better than that black object that we have. I'm going to go to furniture, and for now, let's do a church chair. Sure, we're just going to do a church chair. Who cares at this point? Okay, it looks like it's going into the table, so we're going to back it out. It is on the ground. We have a table and a chair, but as of right now, this chair, we can walk through it. Models, by default, when you import a model, it has no collision to it. It'll always be that way for this game. And you either have to tell the engine it has collision, or also create collision on your own. So there is one way. You can shift select your object, your model, hit N as in Nancy to open up the entity window, and there is a key value called spawn flags, and I hope I'm right about this. It's been a while. Spawn flags is... How am I going to explain this? Spawn flags is a key that holds different values. And I want you to imagine, like earlier when I explained you could make your door a type. It could either be, you say type and then put 0 through 6, and each number says, hey, this is metal, this is wood, this is stone, whatever that may be. It'll give it that property. Same thing with spawn flags. Although the spawn flags will then give a model or an entity different attributes. I don't know all of them. In fact, I only know this one. But one of the spawn flag numbers is going to be 6, and that will give the entire model collision based upon its vertices. So type this out, key spawn flags with an S at the end. It's plural, value 6. Now let's see if that works. We're going to compile our map again, and we'll see what happens. Okay. Oh, it worked. Look at that. We have collision on this chair. The other cool thing is, as I said earlier, it will give collision based upon its vertices, so it doesn't have collision here in this empty space of the chair, which is what we want. There is another way to do it, which I'll show you now, but something that you need to know about spawn flags is this. I read on a forum that it's not recommended to use this option for every single model that you have in your map. You should use it sparingly, maybe on some models here and there, but don't do it to all of your models in your map, because apparently it's very intensive on the engine when it comes to the map's performance. So, what is the workaround? Let's go ahead and highlight this again, and let's delete. Use this button to delete that to spawn flag 6. Okay, deselect the model. We're going to show you how to clip the chair with a clip brush. Open up the textures and go to common. Normally we'll select the caulk texture here to build objects, but you'll notice there's many other options here, and we'll talk about clip. This is actually known as a player clip brush. Have you ever been playing Wolfenstein and realized or noticed, let's say you get exploded by a grenade and it sends your body flying. And sometimes you end up in weird spots, or most of the time you notice your body will go really high and hit some invisible wall and then fall down in place. The invisible wall, that's not like a trick or like an accident or a glitch. That's actually this clipping texture that all map developers or level editors do. They use this, and it's very important because you can also keep players out of areas that they shouldn't get to. So let's go ahead and select the clip texture, and what you're going to do is you're going to try and carefully and accurately cover the chair. If you notice though, when I have this model selected, it's not perfectly aligned on our grid. That's because, of course, it's a 3D model. It was made with specific dimensions. So what you have to do, is using the grid and those numbers I told you about, 1 through 4. Try and use, let's see if number 3 is going to do it. If we were to drag a box, let me go ahead and, actually, I'm going to keep it on caulk so that way we can see it better, the contrast, and see how much we're covering. Let's drag this down to fit the bench of this seat. So as you can see, it's not perfect, right? But that's up to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. If I hit the number 2 on my keyboard to make it a smaller grid, it looks like I can get the bottom half of this chair covered pretty well. Okay, I think that works for the bottom half. So let's hit T for texture and make sure we choose clip. You're going to see that it is slightly see-through, which is on purpose. Hit escape. We've done a clip texture there. Now, let's get the back of this chair. It looks like number 2 on the grid will work for this. Yep. There we go. T to make it clip, hit escape, and there we go. So that is the same result. That is a player clip, which means the player cannot go through that texture. If that texture is there, the player's body will have collision. It won't be able to move past. If you press T, one thing to show you, there are different clips as well. I don't know what metal does. I don't know what full does. But I do know if you see clip missile, that means the texture will block. It'll be a collision for grenades and RPGs. So the Panzerfaust shoots an actual missile. If you have this texture somewhere, that's going to block that missile. And grenades, if you throw a grenade and this texture is anywhere where the grenade is going to hit, it'll bounce off the texture. There's also clip weapon, and that means that a firearm, so the pistols and the SMGs, all guns that shoot bullets, won't be able to shoot past this. It'll be like an invisible wall. You actually will see that bullets hit an invisible wall. So that's just a brief lesson on clipping. So if we were to compile this, I will show you now. Table is obviously made by me, and the clipping is working. As you can see, there's no, I can shoot through this, and that's not good. If you're making a multiplayer map, you wouldn't want people to be able to shoot through that, nor a single player map. But let's show you how to fix that real quick. I mentioned earlier the clip weapon, but there's going to be a tricky thing here. You want to get your clip texture down first. Now, once you have your clip texture down, select both of them, just the clip texture, not the model. Okay? So with the clip texture selected, you're going to want to hit spacebar to duplicate it, but notice that it has moved off of its original location, so it's not aligned. We do want this to be perfectly aligned, so sometimes you're going to need to use the numbers 1 through 4 to make sure it's perfect. So it looks like the number 2 was what I used to make that perfect. It is on top of the player clip. Now we're going to hit T for texture, and we're going to do clip weapon. All right, let's compile this and see what it does. There we go. As you can see, it blocks bullets as it should. And before I end this video, I'll just show you some cool, models to throw into your map. Just to liven it up a bit, make it a believable space. So I do another misc model, map object. Let's go into the furniture. Let's find a shelf. There's a bookshelf. Let's do what is this one? Nope, that is not the correct one. So we're going to do model again, map objects, furniture, metal shelf. There we go. It's facing the wrong way, so I'm going to do 270. Then I can hit X, drag it over, drag it down. It over a little bit. I'm going to hit space bar. No, you know what? Hit backspace. I'm gonna build yet again. Pressing the number 3. I'm covering the object completely. Okay, we're gonna do clip. I'm going to hit spacebar. It came off of it, so I make sure I bring it back in. Texture, create a and well, this is where it does get tricky, right? So if I were to do a clip weapon here, my bullets are going to just hit an entire square as opposed to just the shelving units. So I could honestly, I'm going to select hopefully the clip texture. I did. That's lucky. Drag it away. You could get detail oriented if you wanted to. Like, for example, I'll do this. Okay. Turns out I need to go. And I'm going to hit spacebar, duplicate that. And go down here. Go. And then I could duplicate this and bring it to the top. There we go. And, you know, you could do the support beams, but really I think that's probably good enough. Take that clip texture, put it back over the top of it. We're going to save and compile and take a look at it. Okay, we have the shelving unit, and you'll have to work on your lighting, which we will in a later video. But there is the shelf with the player clip. I can't move through this. That's good. And the shelf itself, that actually works out great. See, I made those shelves solid. That's awesome. That's all I got for you on this one. We'll see you guys in the next one.